Heaven Officials Blessing Episode 5. In the previous episode, Xie Lian, San Lang, Nan Feng, and Fu Yao journeyed across the vast northwest using the distance-reducing array, stepping out of a small door only to find themselves thousands of miles away. Guided by the Big Dipper, they pushed deep into the Gobi Desert, where scorching heat and rising tension tested the group. Suspicion flared when Nan Feng and Fu Yao tried to expose San Lang using form-revealing water and even the enchanted sword Hong Jing, only for the legendary blade to shatter the moment San Lang touched it. Taking shelter in an abandoned inn, the group regained their strength, but strange figures flashed across the golden sand outside, and an unnatural storm soon swept in. As the wind grew violent, Xie Lian warned the others, but before they could react, the sandstorm surged upward. At the end of the previous episode, a tornado tore Xie Lian off the ground, and when he summoned Rui for help, it wrapped around San Lang instead. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. Xie Lian didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. He was just about to get Rui to try again and grab onto something else, when he suddenly felt the white silk go slack around his wrist. Immediately, Xie Lian was overcome with a sense of dread. He froze for a moment, his heart beating fast, and the faint rustling of the silk against his skin made his senses sharpen to every tiny sound. The darkness around him was almost absolute, but the faint moonlight filtering through the sandstorm outside the temple ruins gave just enough illumination to make out the outlines of the walls and the cracked floor beneath his feet. Xie Lian could feel the wind pressing against his face, carrying fine grains of sand that stung his eyes and lips, making each breath shallow and sharp. Carefully, he reached forward with his free hand, testing the space ahead for something solid. His fingers brushed against cold stone, uneven and jagged, and he shivered instinctively, the chill of the night air amplifying his unease. The white silk, still wrapped around his wrist, swung slightly, as if urging him forward, but he hesitated. Every instinct told him that moving too quickly could be dangerous. Rui, meanwhile, was perched quietly beside him, her small, lithe body poised with cautious curiosity. She tilted her head, observing Xie Lian with eyes that glimmered faintly in the dim light. Xie Lian felt a flicker of warmth at her presence. Even in this perilous moment, there was something grounding about her quiet companionship. Taking a deep breath, he adjusted his grip on the silk, willing himself to focus on the task ahead rather than the gnawing anxiety that threatened to overwhelm him. He moved slowly along the corridor, careful to avoid the uneven stones that jutted out from the ground like jagged teeth. His mind raced with possibilities. What could be at the end of this passage? Traps, collapsed ceilings, or worse, but he pushed the thoughts aside, reminding himself that hesitation would not save him. With each careful step, he felt the tension in the silk grow tighter again, almost as if it were sensing his own nervousness. As he proceeded, the corridor opened slightly, revealing a large chamber ahead. Sand and dust swirled in the air, catching in the faint light to create eerie, shifting patterns across the walls. Xie Lian's eyes swept the room, taking in the broken pillars, the fallen beams, and the shadows cast in jagged, angular shapes. Every movement of the wind sounded like a whisper in the silence, and his senses heightened to an almost unbearable level. He noticed first a faint glimmer at the far end of the chamber. Leaning forward cautiously, he tried to identify its source. It appeared to be a long, sinuous object, coiled and shimmering faintly in the light, almost alive. His heart rate quickened. Could it be a spirit, a trap, or some creature hidden within the ruins for centuries? He could not tell. But the delicate, almost hypnotic sheen of its body drew him closer despite the warnings screaming in his mind. Slowly, he inched forward, each step deliberate. He felt the grains of sand crunch underfoot, the sound amplified in the stillness of the chamber. He could hear his own breathing, shallow but steady, and the faint rustle of Rui shifting behind him. The object seemed to respond to his presence. It shifted slightly, curling in a way that suggested both caution and awareness. Xie Lian's hand extended, reaching for the white silk to steady himself. The silk felt taut now, almost guiding him, and he moved toward the coiled form. With each step, His mind calculated distances, the risk of missing a foothold, the possibility of sudden movement from whatever lay ahead. He stopped briefly, steadying his nerves, feeling the pulse of life, or something like it, emanating from the shimmering coil. And then he saw it more clearly. It was a snake, long, slender, and covered in scales that reflected faint moonlight, giving it an almost supernatural glow. Its eyes, dark and glimmering, followed Xie Lian's every movement. Unblinking and intense, he could feel the tension in its muscles, coiled like a spring, ready to strike at the slightest provocation. Despite the danger, Xie Lian took a cautious step forward. He whispered to Rue, urging her to stay back. His mind ran through every strategy he could think of. How to approach it safely. How to avoid sudden movements that might provoke it. How to get close enough to secure the silk and perhaps use it to maneuver the creature without direct confrontation. The snake seemed almost to sense his deliberation. It shifted slightly, and the tip of its tail twitched in the air. Every movement was deliberate, precise, and it seemed to weigh his intentions with uncanny intelligence. Xie Lian mirrored its patience, moving a fraction at a time, feeling the tension in the air grow thicker. The wind outside picked up, rattling the broken walls and causing shadows to dance across the floor in a chaotic rhythm. As he approached, he could make out the faint texture of its scales, smooth but ridged, glinting under the moonlight. He reached forward tentatively, aiming to pinch it lightly and gauge its reaction. But before his fingers could make contact, the snake flicked its tongue, tasting the air, alert and alive. The sensation made his pulse spike. Every instinct screamed caution, but his curiosity and determination pushed him onward. Xie Lian adjusted his angle, inching closer to the tail of the snake. The silk in his hand quivered slightly, as if echoing his anticipation and unease. He took a deep breath, trying to steady the racing of his heart. The room was silent except for the faint, almost imperceptible hiss of the snake and the whisper of sand shifting against stone. He could see the smooth curvature of its body, feel the potential energy coiled within it. Careful not to startle it, Xie Lian reached out again. His fingers brushed the scales, icy and smooth under his touch. He felt a fleeting sense of connection, as if time had slowed and he were sharing the space with something truly ancient. But in an instant, the snake shifted, slick and slippery, and the moment of calm dissolved into tension. He was just about to grab onto its tail, but who knew that the snake's body would be so slippery, making it very difficult to grab onto. Although Xie Lian went to pinch it, he only felt something ice-cold, round and soft slip through his fingers. And the very next moment, Xie Lian felt a sharp pain, like the prick of a needle, on the back of his hand. The scorpion tail, however, right after he was stung, Xie Lian had also grabbed onto its tail. In fact, he had securely caught hold of the whole scorpion-tailed snake in its entirety. Following that, Xie Lian tightened his grip until the snake completely fainted. Despite the venom coursing through his body, Xie Lian's face remained calm, betraying none of the pain or shock that might have overtaken anyone else. He dropped the now unconscious snake to the ground with a firm but careful motion and glanced around. Assessing the environment, the sandstorm had passed, leaving the desert eerily silent except for the faint creaking of rocks shifting in the wind. He warned the others, his voice steady. Everyone should continue to be careful, there may be more snakes nearby. Before he could even finish his sentence, something tightened around his wrist. He looked up, eyes widening slightly, and saw San Lang gripping him with an intensity that made the hairs on Xie Lian's neck stand on end. There was something in San Lang's expression, impossible to describe fully. But it was the kind of look that could make even the bravest tremble. "San Lang?" he asked, his voice calm but cautious. San Lang's gaze was fixed on the tiny wound on the back of Xie Lian's hand. Originally nothing more than the size of a pinprick, the venom had spread rapidly, causing the flesh to swell into a massive, purplish-red lump. The wound had stretched unnaturally, now resembling a clean slice from a sharp blade. Without a word, San Lang retrieved Rue, his movements precise and deliberate, and used it to tie a tight knot around Xie Lian's wrist, effectively slowing the spread of poison. Xie Lian watched in silence, impressed by San Lang's quiet efficiency. Even the normally obstinate Rue seemed to obey every command, sitting as still as a stone under San Lang's hands. Then San Lang drew the dagger from one of the merchant's belts. Xie Lian's eyes flickered to Nan Feng, who immediately called forth a palm flame on his right hand, prepared to intervene if necessary. But San Lang remained calm, dipping the tip of the knife briefly into the flame to sterilize it. He turned back to Xie Lian and carefully cut a small cross into the poisoned area. Xie Lian tried to protest. Warning: there's no need. The scorpion-tailed snake's poison is too toxic. Even if you tried to suck it out, it wouldn't help. You should be more concerned about getting yourself poisoned. But San Lang ignored him, pressing his lips to the wound. A slight tremor ran through Xie Lian's arm as the young man held it firmly. An unexpected intimacy in the motion. He could not understand why, but he felt a strange reassurance under San Lang's attention. Fu Yao, ever outspoken, could not help but comment, "How can you even get stung like this? Your luck is truly something else." He might not have been bitten at all, so why would you go and grab it? You're just causing more trouble. Xie Lian could not argue, it was true. San Lang had been unflustered even as he tied the snake into a knot, suggesting he might have been immune or simply unafraid of the venom himself. Still, better safe than sorry. He waved his uninjured hand dismissively. "In any case, it doesn't hurt, and it won't kill me. Don't mind it." Fu Yao pressed. "It really doesn't hurt?" "Yes," Xie Lian replied honestly. "I don't feel it anymore." He had endured countless bites and stings during his years traveling through mountains and deserts, always surviving thanks to his uncanny tenacity and insensitivity to pain. This was just another minor obstacle in a life accustomed to danger. By the time he finished speaking, the swelling had already begun to subside. San Lang finally lifted his head, a thin trickle of blood still running from the corner of his lips. His gaze icy as he turned toward the motionless scorpion-tailed snake. Then, without warning, the snake exploded into a messy pool of purplish-red flesh. No one could tell who had caused it, but the sheer suddenness sent a ripple of shock through everyone present. Tian Sheng, aware that Xie Lian had been stung, hurried forward, his concern obvious. "This Gurgur, were you also stung? What are you going to do?" Xie Lian adjusted the bandage around his wrist and offered a reassuring smile. "You're a good kid, I'm fine. Let's continue with the original plan. Next, we enter the city to look for the kindred moon herb." A merchant quickly asked, "If you're going, should we send someone with you?" Xie Lian shook his head. "There's no need. The ancient land of Ban Yue Kingdom is dangerous. Any additional person would only risk more accidents. We'll retrieve the kindred moon herb within 24 hours and return it to you." The merchants expressed gratitude, though hesitation crept in when Xie Lian requested A-Zhao's temporary assistance as a guide. Reluctantly, they agreed, and the group set off, A-Zhao leading the way while Xie Lian, San Lang, and Nan Feng followed closely. The journey was uneventful at first, though Xie Lian's curiosity was piqued. "A-Zhao, do scorpion-tailed snakes frequently appear here?" he asked. "No," replied A-Zhao. "This is my first time seeing them." Satisfied, Xie Lian remained vigilant, especially with San Lang's silent presence beside him. They walked for nearly an hour across the desert, the wind having subsided, making their travel swift. Gradually, hardy weeds appeared between the sand and rocks, and by sunset, the ancient city of Ban Yue emerged on the horizon. The city walls were mostly crumbled, blending with the surrounding desert in muted khaki tones. Yet the tallest sections still soared over 30 meters high, hinting at the kingdom's former glory. Entering through the gates, they found themselves amidst wide streets lined with dilapidated houses, broken walls, and remnants of the city's past. A-Zhao warned them to be careful, but it was unnecessary. Xie Lian, Nan Feng, and San Lang naturally moved with caution. Nan Feng, surprised at the city's modest size, asked, "This is Ban Yue Kingdom? How can it be so small?" Xie Lian explained, even at its peak, Ban Yue was a small desert kingdom. Its army was formidable, though, around 4,000 men, all towering and fierce, fearless even with injuries. Don't underestimate them. As they surveyed the ruins, Xie Lian noticed a massive earthen structure in the distance. "That's the sinner's pit," he said grimly, explaining its cruel function. A prison where criminals were thrown among poisonous snakes, scorpions, and starving beasts. Then, a pole atop the pit drew his attention. A silhouette hung there, a scrawny figure dressed in black, swaying in the wind. San Lang noted quietly, "Someone's here." The four of them dispersed into nearby houses for concealment. San Lang and Xie Lian in one, Nan Feng and A-Zhao in another. Soon, a woman dressed in white appeared, graceful and commanding, with a hasu resting in her crook. Behind her followed a tall woman in black, her expression icy and unreadable. Xie Lian recognized them from earlier that day outside the small building. They were clearly formidable, and the interaction between them hinted at authority and experience. Suddenly, an explosive noise erupted from across the street. The house where Nan Feng and A-Zhao had been hiding collapsed, sending sand and dust into the air. A black shadow leapt from the debris, launching a stream of flames at the woman in white, only to be stopped by the woman in black who countered expertly. The shadow escaped, and she immediately pursued, glancing briefly toward Xie Lian and San Lang. Xie Lian confirmed A-Zhao was safe beneath the collapsed house. After some effort, A-Zhao crawled out, covered in dust but unharmed. With only 3 of them remaining together, Xie Lian asked about the kindred moon herb. A-Zhao only knew the city layout, leaving Xie Lian and San Lang to speculate. San Lang suggested the herb preferred shade, hinting it might be near the palace, which they soon identified as a central, imposing yet crumbling structure with an overgrown plaza or garden. Xie Lian instructed caution, "We only have 24 hours, and we must avoid scorpion-tailed snakes." As they began searching the grounds carefully, Xie Lian's hand brushed against something solid beneath the mud. He straightened his back and was just about to speak. However, at this moment, his hand suddenly touched something cylindrical. Xie Lian bowed his head to take a look. It was a human leg. Xie Lian withdrew his hand, momentarily speechless. He had discovered that every time he saw or bumped into something in the dark, more often than not he would be the one who completely didn't react to the frightening scene, while the other party would have already started screaming. However, wasn't he the one who ought to be the most afraid? He realized that his hand had just brushed against something unexpectedly, and the instant reaction from the other side had been an ear-piercing scream. The shadows of the tall, dense shrubs and grasses in the palace garden concealed whoever, or whatever, was there. Xie Lian's senses sharpened as he instinctively raised his arm to guard himself. Scanning the surrounding area, a voice rang out in panic. "Don't attack! Don't attack! It's me, Big Brother!" The shout broke through the tense silence. Xie Lian froze for a moment, narrowing his eyes, trying to identify the speaker. To his surprise, the figure stepping out of the shadows was Tian Sheng, the thick-browed, wide-eyed teenager who had been staying behind with the merchants to watch over the injured. Relief washed over Tian Sheng's face as he saw Xie Lian recognize him. Xie Lian, however, remained cautious. "Didn't you stay behind to watch over the injured? Why are you here? Are you really Tian Sheng?" he asked, his voice steady but guarded. Tian Sheng quickly explained, his words tumbling over themselves. "It's me, really, and I'm not alone. 3 uncles are here too. They're inside the palace. You can check for yourself." Sure enough, moments later, 3 of the merchants came rushing out. They looked startled to see Xie Lian, and their faces betrayed a mix of embarrassment and nervousness. Xie Lian dusted the hem of his white robes and asked them calmly, "What's going on?" The merchants were silent for a moment before Tian Sheng mumbled an explanation. Uncle Zheng's poison had flared up again, and fearing that Xie Lian and his companions might not return in time, they had followed to find the Ban Yue Kingdom, hoping to assist. Xie Lian shook his head, understanding the mix of fear and loyalty that had driven them. "You guys are truly too courageous. You knew what might be here, yet you still came?" He allowed himself a small sigh, realizing the desperation and concern behind their actions. Tian Sheng scratched his head, embarrassed, but added that they had relied on a story told by the red-clothed Gurgur about the Empress picking the kindred moon herb. since empresses typically did not leave the palace. He reasoned the herb might be found near the palace itself. Xie Lian acknowledged the thought process, impressed by the logic behind the teenager's decision. It was at this moment that San Lang, standing quietly beside Xie Lian, spoke for the first time in a while. Found it. He raised his hand, revealing a small bluish-green leaf, roots still intact at the bottom. The leaf was delicate, about the size of a newborn's palm, with a pointed tip, and Xie Lian knew instantly it had to be the kindred moon herb from the legends. Before he could comment, San Lang grasped Xie Lian's injured hand and, with the other hand, crushed the leaf into a fine powder. Carefully, he applied the green powder to Xie Lian's wound. A cool, soothing sensation spreading across the inflamed skin. Xie Lian felt relief, muttering, "San Lang, many thanks." Though San Lang remained silent, his expression unreadable. Tian Sheng, anxious to know the effect, asked, "Big brother, do you feel better? Does the herb work?" Xie Lian smiled faintly, acknowledging the effectiveness of the herbal treatment. Seeing the affirmation, the merchants became excited and began searching for more herbs. Soon after, A-Zhao raised a hand, holding a bunch of healthy green leaves. These were larger than the small leaf San Lang had found, and when the merchants examined them, they confirmed the shape and characteristics matched those of the kindred moon herb. They eagerly began collecting the herbs, excited by the abundant harvest. Xie Lian turned back to San Lang, curiosity in his gaze. "The field they found, weren't you searching there before? Why didn't you find it?" San Lang simply shook his head, a subtle warning in his demeanor. "You shouldn't use the herbs from there," he said. Before Xie Lian could inquire further, a pitiful, mournful voice echoed, "Go away." The merchants froze. "Who's that screaming?" one asked nervously. The voice repeated, mournfully, "Go away, you're stepping on me." Realization struck them all. The sound came from beneath their feet. Panic ensued as the people scattered from the patch of herbs. Xie Lian, ever the calm leader, stepped forward to investigate. He parted the dense foliage, and his heart tightened at the sight. A human face, partially buried in mud, staring up at them. The scene was surreal. This man had been buried so deeply that only his face remained visible. The merchants screamed in horror, huddling together as Xie Lian, with practiced composure, reassured them, "Don't panic, it's only a face, nothing alarming." The face itself chuckled faintly, an odd, self-deprecating sound. "Did I scare you?" "Sigh, I scare myself often too." Xie Lian squatted, examining the face carefully. The features were ambiguous, making it impossible to determine age or attractiveness. He asked plainly, "Who are you?" The face responded with equal curiosity. "Who are you guys?" Xie Lian explained their presence as a passing caravan. The buried man sighed, recounting a grim history. 50 or 60 years ago, he had been captured by a Ban Yue soldier, brought to this city, and buried in the soil to serve as fertilizer for the kindred moon herbs. The realization struck everyone. The lush, healthy herbs they had found had been grown with living people as nourishment. Horror spread among the merchants, who immediately discarded the herbs they were holding. Even Xie Lian felt a moment of unease, though San Lang reassured him that the herb he had chosen was uncontaminated. It became clear why San Lang had ignored the most plentiful patches of herbs earlier. He had perceived the grim truth and avoided harvesting from them, instead selecting a solitary, clean herb to help Xie Lian heal. Xie Lian silently acknowledged San Lang's thoughtfulness, feeling deep gratitude. The buried man began speaking again, expressing a desire to see the living people up close. "Come closer, let me take a better look at you," he urged. The group hesitated, unsettled by the request. He muttered to himself, disappointed by their reluctance. Before explaining the reason, he wanted to confirm something he had been longing to see for decades. Curiosity tinged with fear, Xie Lian asked, "What is it?" The man smiled, an unnerving and strange expression, and revealed, "I saw someone among you 50 years ago." The words sent a chill down everyone's spine. If it had been 50 years ago, the person he referred to should be at least 60 or 70 years old by now. Yet, none of the people before them were older than 40. Xie Lian's mind raced, scanning each face from A-Zhao to Tian Sheng. Noting the varied reactions, San Lang remained inscrutable, his face betraying no emotion. Xie Lian demanded, "Who are you talking about?" The man's muscles twitched, and with an eerie smile, he beckoned mysteriously. "You, come a bit closer, and I'll tell you." Xie Lian assessed the situation carefully. Initially, he had deemed the man 80% trustworthy, but after that statement, his trust faltered to 50%. He recognized the potential danger. This could be a trap, and he knew better than to take unnecessary risks. Xie Lian naturally wouldn't listen to the face. After getting up, he withdrew. The face buried in the mud hastily said, "You guys truly don't want to know who that person is? He will end up killing all of you. Just like how he had ended up killing all of us." The more he acted like this, the more Xie Lian thought it was dangerous. He said, "Everyone, retreat, don't approach it, and don't pay attention to what it says." The group immediately heeded his words, scattering hastily across the garden, leaving a tense silence in their wake. The half-buried face in the mud let out a forced, almost pitiful chuckle. "Sigh, don't leave. Why are you being like this? I'm human too. I won't harm any of you," it cried. But Xie Lian knew better. He could feel the otherworldly, inhuman aura radiating from this grotesque figure. In this state, calling it human was a lie in itself. Just as he was contemplating the danger, a merchant, perhaps driven by stubborn practicality, crept forward to snatch back the kindred moon herbs he had thrown down in panic. The moment he stepped closer, the eyes of the half-buried face snapped toward him, glowing with a sudden, terrifying light. Xie Lian's mind screamed, "Bad luck," as he sprinted forward, grabbing the merchant's collar and shouting, "Don't pick them up, come back." It was already too late. The half-buried face opened its mouth, and out shot an impossibly long, scarlet tongue. The tongue slid into the merchant's ear with a horrifying squelch, and the merchant convulsed violently, his scream cutting through the night. Xie Lian struggled to hold him as the tongue extracted a gruesome, bloody lump from inside. Before retreating into the face's mouth, the face laughed, a cacophonous, shrill sound, choking with blood as it exclaimed over and over, "Delicious, I've been starving to death." The transformation of this figure over 50 years of being buried had stripped away any trace of humanity. Xie Lian, releasing the trembling merchant, prepared to strike, but then the half-buried face shrieked again, crying out for "General." His voice was frantic, hysterical, and laced with broken Ban Yue language learned during decades buried alive. From above, a shadow fell like a black mountain. The figure hit the ground with such force that the earth seemed to tremble, immediately towering over everyone present. The being was colossal, over 9 kai tall, with skin as dark as iron, face harsh and bestial, and clothed in armor across the chest and shoulders. It moved like a wolf on 2 legs, exuding a powerful, terrifying presence. Behind it, more than 10 soldiers descended from the palace roof, each carrying cudgels tipped with jagged wolf teeth, forming a living wall of danger around Xie Lian and the others. These were the Ban Yue soldiers, long deceased, radiating dark, sinister spiritual energy. Xie Lian's body tensed. Rue, ready at his side, could spring into action, but he knew the danger of engaging so many at once. The soldiers did not attack immediately. Instead, they let out howls that seemed to shake the heavens. Their speech was in the ancient tongue of the Ban Yue Kingdom, coarse but understandable to Xie Lian thanks to his previous review with San Lang. The soldiers referred to the towering figure as "General," discussing what to do with the newcomers. From their words, Xie Lian understood that they did not intend to kill anyone yet, only to transport them elsewhere. He advised everyone quietly, "Don't panic, they won't kill anyone for now. Just observe and follow my lead." San Lang remained silent behind him, his presence a calm anchor amid the chaos. The half-buried face, however, continued shrieking and sobbing, pleading with the "General" to let it return home, its voice a mix of sorrow and the broken Ban Yue language it had absorbed over decades. The tall general, evidently disgusted, raised his cudgel and struck. The face's head was impaled on the jagged teeth, uprooting it from the ground. When it fell away, It revealed the rest of the figure's body, nothing but bones. The flesh had long been consumed, nourishing the kindred moon herbs. The merchants recoiled in horror as the face, now separated from its skeletal body, gasped and questioned what it saw. Xie Lian explained plainly, "This is your body." Yet the face refused to accept the truth, its shrieks echoing in disbelief. San Lang, standing nearby, sneered, mocking the face's desperate rationalizations about its grotesquely long tongue. The tongue had grown over decades of consuming insects and other subterranean horrors to survive. An inhuman adaptation born from suffering and desperation. Xie Lian felt a chill watching San Lang's grim amusement. The youth's smile carrying a predator's edge, the half-buried face, now jittery and desperate, continued asserting its humanity, thrashing with skeletal limbs, howling, "I'm human, I'm human." Its joy in Ray emerging into the air was short-lived. The 9-Kai-tall general's patience snapped. A single stomp crushed the skull of the pitiful face, silencing it permanently. After the gruesome act, the general issued orders to the soldiers, who brandished their fearsome cudgels and began to herd Xie Lian and the others. The group moved along under the unflinching supervision of these ancient warriors. Xie Lian stayed alert, analyzing their movements and demeanor. San Lang followed as always, his steps measured, his calm presence a stabilizing force amid the tension. Xie Lian seized a moment when the soldiers conversed amongst themselves to quietly ask. "They call the leading soldier, General. I wonder who he is." San Lang replied, "His name is K Mo. When Ban Yue Kingdom was destroyed, he was the only general left. He trained his body from a frail youth, developing extraordinary strength, and became the kingdom's fiercest and most revered general." Xie Lian pondered silently, imagining this towering, indestructible figure once alive and commanding loyalty. San Lang continued, detailing that K Mo had been a faithful supporter of the Ban Yue Grand Tutor and, even in death, maintained his allegiance. Xie Lian questioned whether this journey would lead them to the Grand Tutor himself. San Lang could only reply, "Perhaps." The group moved further into desolate sections of the kingdom, led by K Mo and his spectral soldiers, their path taking them to the outermost edge. Eventually, they reached an immense yellow wall, towering and formidable, resembling a giant sentinel. The location was the infamous Sinner's Pit. Xie Lian felt his heart quicken, not from fear of the soldiers or physical danger, but from the spiritual pressure emanating from the area. The Sinner's Pit was designed with a powerful array, ensuring anyone who fell in could never climb back out. Even ropes or ladders would be thwarted by the active spiritual trap midway, forcing the fallen back to the bottom. Xie Lian tested the wall, feeling its unyielding hardness and the spiritual incantations fortifying it. This place was meticulously constructed to entrap and punish. Ascending the crude staircase to the top, Xie Lian and the others saw the terrifying sight before them. The pit was enclosed by 4 colossal walls, each more than 30 zhang long and 20 zhang high, forming a massive square with walls 4 kai thick. From this vantage, the bottom was invisible, the air tinged with the stench of blood and cold drafts rising from the abyss. As they walked along the ledge of the wall, they passed a grim scene, a young girl's corpse, black-clothed, hanging on a tall pole, her head bowed in death. Her body, still fresh, was a stark testament to the cruelty of the Ban Yue soldiers, who exposed the sinners to slow, agonizing deaths. The sight left A-Zhao, Tian Sheng, and the others pale and motionless. K Mo stopped and bellowed a long, commanding yell. In response, a monstrous roar erupted from the pit, a deafening sound like 100 beasts combined, shaking the ledge beneath them. Stones and debris rattled, the echoes mingling with the terrifying energy rising from the darkness below. Xie Lian realized this was likely a response from the souls of the sinners trapped within the pit. K Mo called out again, this time more distinctly. The words sounded like encouragement. He referred to the pit's inhabitants as fellow brothers. Then he issued instructions to his soldiers in the Ban Yue tongue. Xie Lian listened carefully and understood immediately what the order entailed. After K Mo finished roaring, he yelled something at the soldiers detaining Xie Lian and the others. This time, Xie Lian completely understood what K Mo had ordered. The general said, "Just drop 2 people down there." Although everyone else didn't understand what Mo had said, they could probably roughly guess what the soldiers were intending to do. As a result, their complexions simultaneously turned white. Xie Lian immediately sensed the tension in the air. Every person around him froze. Their faces pale, fear etched into every line. He knew what was coming. The dreaded sinner's pit. A place no one could escape once thrown in. Taking a careful step forward, he spoke softly, trying to calm both himself and the others. "Don't be nervous. If something happens, I'll face it first." He thought through the scenario carefully. If someone had to be thrown into that dark abyss, he would take the first fall. The pit, though terrifying, could not harm him fatally. No flames, no lava, no poisoned water, just the unknown below. Perhaps vipers, ferocious beasts, or malicious spirits. Xie Lian trusted Rue, his white silk companion, to help him catch anyone else if necessary. He understood that Mo's order to bring the others away and keep an eye on them meant the soldiers were planning to throw the captives down one by one. Not all at once. Yet not everyone could maintain composure. A-Zhao, trembling and desperate, decided to act, perhaps believing death was inevitable. He charged forward, fists clenched, aiming directly at Mo. His intention was clear: to take down the towering general with him into the pit. Despite Mo's immense height and intimidating frame, he instinctively retreated 3 steps, startled by the young man's determination to sacrifice himself. Then, in a sudden display of raw power, Mo pushed A-Zhao down. The youth fell into the bottomless darkness, his screams echoing, followed by distant, sinister tearing sounds, evidence that the creatures below were feeding. Xie Lian could hardly believe it. He had suspected A-Zhao might be one of Ban Yue Grand Tutor's subordinates, perhaps luring them all into a trap. But seeing him fall first, so decisively, was shocking. There was no chance for A-Zhao to survive. Before Xie Lian could process further, Mo signaled again, pointing to the next target, Tian Sheng. A soldier reached out to grab him, and Tian Sheng screamed in terror. Xie Lian, without hesitation, stepped forward, speaking in the language of Ban Yue Kingdom. "General, wait a moment." Mo's expression shifted instantly from focused determination to surprise. "You know our language? Where are you from?" he demanded. Xie Lian, calm and measured, replied, "I come from the Central Plains." He considered lying about being from Ban Yue Kingdom, but even a small slip could reveal him, and the dead soldier's hatred for liars was legendary. Mo's face darkened with anger. "The Central Plains? You are a Yong'an descendant?" he growled. Xie Lian shook his head. "No, Yong'an Kingdom has long been wiped out. There are no more Yong'an people." Still, in the soldier's eyes, anyone from the Central Plains was associated with their ancient enemy, Yong'an, which only intensified their outrage. The soldiers erupted in curses, their voices filled with hatred and derision. But the words didn't truly hurt Xie Lian. Mo glared at him, black veins standing out on his forehead. "Our kingdom has faded in the Gobi Desert for 200 years. You are not from our kingdom, yet you speak our language. Who exactly are you?" Before Xie Lian could respond further, a monstrous roar erupted from the sinner's pit. Whatever had consumed A-Zhao's body below still hungered for fresh flesh. Mo's hand rose again to seize Tian Sheng, but Xie Lian quickly intervened. "General, let me go first." Mo's eyes widened in disbelief. "You want to go first? For what reason?" Xie Lian adapted, offering a socially acceptable explanation. "General, these are innocent merchants, even a child amongst them. Please, let me go first." Mo scoffed. "When your Yong'an army destroyed my kingdom, did you think about the merchants and children here?" His tone carried centuries of lingering resentment, as if the past massacre had never ended. He warned Xie Lian that he would not allow him to jump first, insisting someone else must be thrown down instead. Xie Lian's heart raced, ready to leap regardless, when he noticed San Lang stepping forward. Calm, composed, the youth measured the sinner's pit with a detached gaze. Crossing his arms, a chill ran down Xie Lian's spine. "San Lang?" he called out, worried. San Lang glanced back, smiling faintly. "Everything's fine," he said, slowly. He moved to the edge of the pit. The hem of his red clothes fluttered violently in the wind. "Don't be afraid," he added when Xie Lian protested. "Retreat first and come back," Xie Lian urged. "If you come back, then I will stop being scared." "There's no need to worry," San Lang replied calmly. "I'll leave for a bit first. We'll see each other again very soon." Before Xie Lian could protest, San Lang stepped forward once more and leapt into the unfathomable darkness. Rue, coiled around Xie Lian's wrist, shot forward in an attempt to catch him. But the youth fell too quickly. The silk dimmed as it returned to Xie Lian. Xie Lian knelt on the wall, shouting into the pit, "San Lang, silence!" The fall was complete, and the abyss swallowed all sound. Ban Yue soldiers above were shocked, shouting at the unexpected bravery and recklessness of the youth. Xie Lian barely had time to think before he recalled Rue and leapt after San Lang. Mid-air, his collar was suddenly gripped, halting him. Mo himself had seized Xie Lian to prevent his fall. In response, Xie Lian had an idea. Rue coiled around Mo, moving with uncanny precision, almost as if alive, climbing and wrapping around the general's body. The muscles on Mo bulged as he tried to resist the white silk. While Xie Lian noticed an even stranger phenomenon, the corpse of the black-clothed girl, hanging from a pole, stirred. The soldiers shouted in alarm and struck at her, but she freed herself and leapt like a shadow across the wall. She struck down the soldiers, causing several to fall into the pit. Mo's curses were furious, vulgar, and continuous, until Xie Lian seized the moment, dragging the general into the sinner's pit with him. The drop was merciless, the depths seemingly endless. Mo's roar nearly shattered Xie Lian's eardrums, forcing him to kick the general lightly to maintain a safe distance. He summoned Rue to find something to cushion their fall, but the pit's spiritual array and architecture left nothing to hold onto. Then, amidst the darkness, a flash of silvery light appeared. A pair of hands caught him, dissipating the force of the fall. One hand wrapped around Xie Lian's back and shoulders, the other supporting his knees. He felt himself held firmly yet gently, almost as if the person had anticipated his descent. Dizzy and breathless from the fall, Xie Lian instinctively embraced the figure. "San Lang?" he asked, feeling around the person's shoulders and chest to confirm. No reply came at first. He probed further, his hand trembling, before realizing the absurdity of his actions and withdrawing. Finally, from a spot close to him, a deep voice resonated, "I'm fine." Xie Lian noted a subtle difference in San Lang's tone compared to usual. Though it was slight, the voice carried assurance, yet beneath it lingered the tension of the moment. After quite a while, he finally heard that young man's reply. From a place extremely close to him, the youth's deep voice resonated over, "I'm fine." Xie Lian didn't know why, but he felt that compared to San Lang's usual tone, there was a subtle difference in his current voice. Chat GPT da noi. Touching and embracing in the deep, dark pit. "San Lang, are you really alright?" Xie Lian asked, his voice barely audible over the lingering echoes in the sinner's pit. "How about you put me down?" But San Lang's answer was simple, firm, and unyielding. "Don't get down." Xie Lian froze, confused. "What's going on? Is there something on the ground?" Both of San Lang's arms were still tightly wrapped around him, holding him firmly, and he had no intention of letting go. Xie Lian instinctively reached out to push lightly against San Lang's chest. But he suddenly remembered the earlier moment during the fall, when he had carelessly touched the youth all the way to his Adam's apple. Embarrassed and flustered, he withdrew his hand and chastised himself silently. After hundreds of years, he still struggled to recognize awkwardness when it confronted him directly. Suddenly, a howl filled with rage and grief echoed from the other side of the pit. "What happened to all of you?" The words were in the Ban Yue dialect. Xie Lian realized it was General Mo, who had survived the fall despite being embedded in the ground from the impact. The general scrambled to his feet and roared, "What happened, soldiers? My brothers, what happened to you?" Xie Lian's heart sank. When A-Zhao had fallen, He had heard the terrible sounds of gnawing from below. But now, after San Lang had leapt into the pit, everything was silent. Not a single sound of life could be heard. Even the steady rhythm of San Lang's breathing and heartbeat, which he expected to feel against him, was absent. The darkness around them seemed almost absolute, pressing in like the silence before a storm. Mo bellowed in anger and disbelief, demanding to know who had killed his men. Xie Lian, feeling the danger approaching from the side, whispered sharply, "San Lang, be careful." San Lang's voice remained calm, almost teasing, as he replied, "Don't worry about him." His arms tightened slightly around Xie Lian, while his feet shifted nimbly, subtly turning his body. In the darkness, Xie Lian heard soft, silvery chimes, faintly musical yet sharp, like fleeting notes of a bell. Mo lunged again and again, striking at nothing, while San Lang moved with almost supernatural grace, dodging with breathless ease. Xie Lian, instinctively clutching onto San Lang's clothing, felt the youth's arms remain steady and unyielding even as his body weaved through attacks. Occasionally, Xie Lian felt something icy and hard pressing against him, sending sharp shivers through his body. Silver flashes of light danced across the darkness as blades whistled past, accompanied by Mo's enraged howls. Though the general had undoubtedly suffered some injuries, his tenacity was frightening. With each attack, Xie Lian's pulse raced. "Rue," he called. In response, the white silk ribbon sprang to life, wrapping around Mo, lifting him into the air, flipping him, and slamming him to the ground. Mo roared in frustration as he struggled to rise, snarling, "The both of you, 2 against 1, despicable." Xie Lian's mind was sharp and practical. Right now, their lives were more important than the honor of fair combat. San Lang, however, laughed softly, a low, almost somber sound, saying to Xie Lian, "You won't stand a chance even if it's one-on-one. You don't have to step in." Xie Lian nodded, replying simply, "Okay," though he urged again, "San Lang, it's better if you let me down. I'll only be hindering you." "It's fine, don't get down," San Lang said again. Xie Lian's mind whirled. "Seriously? Why not? Do you like carrying people into fights?" San Lang's single-word reply left him speechless. "Filthy." The word struck him with its sheer bluntness, eliciting a faint, fluttering heat in his chest. "You can't carry me around like this forever," he reasoned lightly, though he realized the youth's tone was dead serious. "Not necessarily," San Lang replied. The combat continued around them. Mo, undeterred, launched attack after attack, yet San Lang's arms remained steady, holding Xie Lian, while his feet danced lightly, his movements precise and graceful. In the chaos, Mo's enraged tirade was interrupted by a loud, earth-shaking sound. A massive body fell with a booming crash. Immobilized by the force, Xie Lian, alert, reminded San Lang, "Don't kill him first. We may still need him to tell us how to escape." San Lang obeyed, standing motionless. "I'm not trying to kill him. He would not have lasted this long otherwise," he said calmly. A heavy silence descended upon the pit, broken only by the faint echoes of distant groans and Mo's intermittent shouts. Xie Lian, peering into the darkness, asked quietly, "San Lang, what happened down here? Was this your doing?" A pause, long and heavy, filled the pit. Then, softly but clearly, San Lang answered, "Yes." Xie Lian exhaled, a mix of relief and exasperation. "How should I say this? San Lang, if you come across a pit like this again in the future, you absolutely must not jump in so recklessly. I tried to stop you, but you leapt anyway. I really don't know what to do with you." San Lang seemed momentarily taken aback by his words, then spoke again, his voice a touch unusual. "You have nothing else to ask?" "What do you want me to ask?" Xie Lian replied. "For example, whether or not I am human," San Lang said. Xie Lian rubbed the space between his brows, replying with calm certainty, "I don't think there's any need to ask this." San Lang's tone carried a hint of surprise. No need? Is it necessary? Human or not, it doesn't really matter," Xie Lian said. He shifted slightly in his embrace. explaining, "When meeting people, it's not up to us to decide if we will be kindred spirits. It is determined by our respective natures. If I like you, I would still like you even if you were a beggar. If I loathe you, that feeling would not change even if you were the emperor. It is simple truth, no need to ask." San Lang laughed softly. What you said makes perfect sense." They laughed together, the sound echoing faintly in the dark pit. Yet Xie Lian became acutely aware of how long he had been held in San Lang's arms, and how he had unconsciously grown accustomed to the position. Embarrassed, he cleared his throat. "By the way, San Lang, we can talk about this later. It's better if you put me down now. All right?" San Lang, smiling faintly, said, "Just a moment." He began moving carefully, lowering Xie Lian. Soon, Xie Lian felt solid ground beneath his feet. "Many thanks," he said. San Lang remained silent. Xie Lian raised his head, looking at the moon shining brightly above the square walls of the pit. It was a breathtaking sight, but the four high walls framed it tightly, reminding him of the frog in the well, seeing only a small patch of sky. He sent Rue up again. The silk ribbon flew upward but was blocked by an invisible force. Bouncing back, there is an array set up around the sinner's pit, San Lang explained. "Yes, I know, I just wanted to check," Xie Lian replied, concerned about the others above. He recounted how the maiden in black, strung up on the pole, had suddenly come to life and swept a whole squad of soldiers into the pit. As he stepped forward, he nearly tripped over what felt like a human arm, regaining balance just in time. San Lang warned lightly, "Be careful, the ground is filthy." "I'm fine. I wanted to use palm flame to survey and plan our next move," Xie Lian said. From a distance, K Mo's voice rang out. "Furious, you are working for that slut. All of our nation's ghosts will curse you." Xie Lian replied cautiously in Ban Yue dialect. "General K Mo, exactly who are you talking about?" K Mo's voice seethed with rage. "You dare ask? It's that demon." Xie Lian pressed further. "Are you referring to the female cultivator wandering about in the city? Are you not loyal to Ban Yue's state preceptor?" K Mo erupted again. A long, vile tirade of curses. San Lang translated softly. "He says the preceptor betrayed their country, opened the city gates, allowing Central Plains soldiers to massacre everyone, and threw his brothers in arms down into this hellhole. He wants to hang her 1,000 times. No, 10,000 times." Xie Lian realized two things were off. The female official in white he had seen earlier and the slut Ban Yue soldiers cursed were not the same person. Also, the Ban Yue state preceptor, the girl in black hanging from the pole, was apparently the true target of their anger. Xie Lian asked, "General, the state preceptor you are cursing, is she the girl in black hanging over the sinner's pit?" K Mo's answer was vehement. "Who else if not her?" The maiden in black possessed incomparably strange martial arts. She was capable of sweeping tens of soldiers down from the wall in the blink of an eye in a single powerful move. Why would she be hanging over the sinner's pit? In this episode, we saw Xie Lian and his companions face unimaginable danger as they were captured by the Ban Yue soldiers and brought to the infamous sinner's pit. Throughout this episode, Xie Lian demonstrated his courage and quick thinking, stepping forward to protect the others. Even as one of their own, A-Zhao tragically fell into the pit. We also witnessed San Lang's incredible skills and composure, as he leapt into the darkness, effortlessly handling threats and rescuing Xie Lian, all while moving with precision and strength that seemed almost otherworldly. The episode revealed the terrifying power and ruthlessness of the Ban Yue Kingdom spirits, their lingering hatred and complex history, as well as the mysterious figures in black who possess remarkable martial abilities. We saw the intricate dynamics between life and death in the sinner's pit, and the unwavering loyalty and bond forming between Xie Lian and San Lang amidst chaos. Even in the darkness and uncertainty, they relied on each other, showing bravery, resourcefulness, and trust that will guide them through these trials. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Heaven Official's Blessing. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates on Xie Lian's journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next videos.